Hey, everybody. Welcome to another week of Dentistry Unmasked. I'm Pam Maragliano, and with me, as always,
Hey, Pam, David Rice. Good to see you, friends.
oh my gosh. So, this is going to be such a fun episode because, in a way, I'm like flying solo, but not really because you're here. But basically, I, okay, we were chatting offline, and I was like, I've known you for a long time, right? And I met you at like a coffee chat like 100 years ago with like Esther Wilkins and Anastasia and all the things. And I don't really know your story. I mean, everybody knows you and you're always around doing things, but like, I don't know. I feel like I wanted people to hear, and I wanted to hear about like your story, like how you've owned practices, but now you kind of focus your attention towards the younger dentist, and your career has taken twists and turns that you know um probably 10 dentists might not experience in a lifetime. So I'm just going to sit back and I want you to tell me a story.
Tell me a bedtime story.
Oh,
Um, sure. So, gosh, graduated in '94 from Buffalo's dental school. That's where I was born and raised. Did a GPR after that in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, like super stretched my wings down the 90 to get to Pittsburgh. And, came back, associateship, which was like a horrible failure. Like that's a story in and of itself. And then finally found another great associateship, what led to me buying my first practice. Brought in an associate literally the following week after buying it, which is a bit crazy, but I knew we wanted to grow. And then over time, um, Mark and I bought a second practice, a third practice, and then we did a startup together. And then fast forward, part of an 8-year plan, I unplugged from all of that from an ownership standpoint 8 months pre-COVID because, igniteDDS had been around for 11 years and we had designs on, not only continuing what we do with young dentists and students, but building an entire like coaching program because we were just kind of sick and tired of seeing mediocrity out there, to be honest with you. And here we are. I'm a Tampa, Florida guy now, and life, as you know, is all over the board.
yeah, I know you travel all over the place, but I
Yeah.
guess I want to know a little bit more. So like, how'd you get into the, you know, mentoring younger dentists and helping to elevate them to achieve what they're looking to achieve professionally? Because I feel like maybe some of us, I mean, I have too, taught in a dental school, and that was
Yep.
sort of our way of, not giving back, because I wouldn't say giving back, but our way of providing mentorship and guidance to a younger audience. But you've done this on a national level.
So, okay, this is a little bit of a sad story, but it ends really well for everybody. Um, I also taught at a dental school early on in my career for 11 years, really. So a decent chunk of the first third of my career, I suppose. But Mark, who I mentioned earlier, when Mark was an associate, that time of life, you guys have probably all been there where it's like, new house. And then for Mark, like new baby, like got his first new car, and like everything was just like coming together for him. And 1 week to the day, from the birth of his daughter, his 27-year-old wife dies.
Ugh.
Awful. I literally could still cry all these years later because I that day is so vivid for me and far more vivid for Mark. But the short story is I went to my chairman of restorative. And Buffalo is a small town, so everybody, knew Mark and knew this situation. I'm like, I need sabbatical and I need to work an extra day and a half in a practice. Like Mark just needs to want to wake up tomorrow morning, and that's what I have to do. And my chairman wouldn't let me take a sabbatical. So Pam, you know me. I was this guy right out of the gate. I took the key out of my pocket. I put it on his desk. I said, "Shame on you. I'm the first guy here. I'm the last guy to leave. This is important." And And I vowed to never put myself in a situation again like that where somebody could control my destiny. So I built Ignite out of that horrible event. Now, all these years later, FYI, Mark is not only the most well-adjusted human you met, he's remarried, he's got another daughter. He's one of the coolest people you all should meet someday.
Oh my gosh. And what like a best friend to have, to, for you to be able to support him in that way. That is such a big deal. And that's really interesting. So how do you get started?
Hmm.
I feel like dental schools are hard to crack into. Like, I don't know if you guys know, a lot of people who listen, we all went to dental school and we all had people come in and chat with us during lunch and learns and you get pizza and all that stuff. But to get from the outside into the dental school to access dental students, that's not easy. And it's not easy to gain the trust of dental students either because they're sort of in their bubble.
Yeah. So I think for me, I was so naive that it worked. So, I look at life and I think when we're young, we have all this energy. When we get older, we have all this experience. And if you can keep both of those in life, good things happen. So for me, this was a pure energy move. I I went, I guest spoke as a favor to a friend of mine who was still on faculty at Buffalo. And then, like every room you've ever been in, like a couple people come up to the front and they're like, "Hey, Pam, like tell me more stuff." So I went in with intention that day, knowing there'd be a half a dozen people who would come up. And instead of answering their questions, what I said was, "Hey, let's not do this now, but I'll buy you lunch. I'll come to campus. We'll pick a day that works for you. I'll buy you lunch. We'll talk about anything you want to talk about." So I brought 6 people to lunch. And from there, I said, "Hey, was that helpful?" They're like, "Yes." I'm like, "All right, well, let's do dinner. You each can invite a friend." So we ended up having 20 people for our first dinner, which 6 months later turned into me bringing 300 people in Buffalo out to dinner. And I
Whoa.
did that, as crazy and insane as that sounds. I did that for another entire year. And then all I did was ask them who they knew at another dental school who might like what we were doing in Buffalo. And we went from a few hundred to a few thousand. And that was the beginning of the journey of me traveling to schools.
Oh my goodness. So that's such a trajectory. But let's talk about, so it's one thing to have dinner and it's one thing to have a chat and it's one thing to cheerlead and make somebody excited so they can just like go off and go to work the next day, but you have a team of people around you that you've legitimately elevated. You don't have to throw out their names, you can if you want to, but can you share some of the success stories of the ways that you've really helped a younger dentist navigate the dental industry and help them get to where they want to go faster than say you and I did when we were just like grinding it out back in the day.
Yeah, I tough love them, to be honest with you. So I remember for me, and I don't think this is necessarily unique to my thought process, but I thought I should be able to go to anyone in dentistry and say, tell me what to do. And then what I would know is like, I know I'll figure out how to do it. But that's not how it works, as I know like people want us to come to them and say, here's what I've done and here's how it can help you. So we sat down together with a core group of people that I met who like they were just the ones who were like a little more engaged, followed up a little bit more, and we, created a round table, like a core team of people. And I would ask them, I'm like, okay, if you were going to focus on one aspect of your life, what would that aspect be? And I made them define it. And then when they came back to me, I said, okay, um, what would success look like for you if you could make that thing happen? So they defined it. And I said, all right, what do you think the things are you should be doing on a daily basis, a weekly basis, a monthly basis that would help you get there? And then I helped them with that list. We prioritized their lists, and then we created a scoreboard for this at the early days, like a team of like 6 people. And then my job was to be present in their life and help them with that every single week. And because they had great energy and great drive, and they really, really wanted it, like they all you probably accomplished in a year or two what most people take a decade or maybe never get to. And then now I have this little army of people who get it. Like they really get it. And it was so cool to see. I was like a proud dad. I mean, I didn't have my own kids, so these are my kids. And then they told people and we helped them. And then one day we woke up and just said, hey, we're pretty good at this. So how can we go through this exact same process and develop that for people, whether we're speaking on a stage at a trade show or a small meeting, or we're actually going into their practices and showing them success?
It's incredible. And I mean, also, it's not like you're putting out like the same product on every, it's not like everyone's like, I want to be a lecturer. So you're, booking this, the same thing for different people. It's all different aspects of the dental industry, whether it's dental influencing, right? Or being a brand ambassador, or maybe being a speaker, or, getting into the like legislative side of dentistry. I mean, it's really interesting how you've been able to help a young dentist navigate whatever it is that they want to do, which is,
Hmm.
I really think is just so remarkable and so interesting because, you have to be pretty well-rounded and obviously pretty well connected to be able to help them do that. And so how does a young dentist get involved, or a dental student? How do they join the force?
Yeah, I would say most people either meet myself or someone on our team on Instagram. If you're maybe a veteran and you're on Facebook, maybe you reach out through Facebook or LinkedIn, or um, at some event in some city. And what I would say to you is, if you want help and you're ready to do the work, because we're always happy to help people, but we're only happy to help people who actually are are gonna go all in on themselves and want better. Like, don't if you're a talker but not a doer, please don't reach out. If you're a doer, then please reach out, because we can move the needle in your life faster than most people I've met. And that's just, 31 years buys you like so many cool relationships in dentistry. And we're not the best at everything. And our job is a lot of times just to connect you with the best people. So reach out on social media. We'll drop my information in the notes. You can email me as well. You can text me as well, but take a step. You don't have to know you don't have to know where you're going. You just need to know that you want something better for yourself and you're willing to do the work. We can help you shape the where and the how to. That's not hard.
So one thing I felt that was always important for me, at least when I was becoming a dentist, was you see so many, I know this is sound awful, but like you'd see so many people on the faculty that like can't hear out of one ear, or they have like that dental hunchback thing happening. And everybody is so quick to tell us how hard our job is and how physically taxing it is, that I didn't really ever want to be a 5 day a weeker in a practice. It's just never been what I've wanted. I also, apple doesn't fall far from the tree. You look at your parents and I'm like, what if someday I can't practice? What if, something happens? And I always felt like having something else was a great balance. So it was great from a physical perspective, but also just having, staying interested and engaged in the industry too. So if you guys are out there and you're practicing 5 days a week and you're like, you know what? Yeah, I can see how my back's going to hurt in a couple of years. Having something else is, I think, critical, because I think it keeps all of us interested and engaged in all the things. So, yeah, if you don't even know what that looks like right now, like I never really aspired to be a speaker. It was never really a thing for me. It sort of landed in my lap, and I refused to say no to something out of fear. I was like, I'm going to do this, you know, once and maybe never again. But like, here we are all these years later. So you just never know. So, and I love that you're also a doer. Like, you're not like, okay, so I'm going to mentor people. And, one day I'll just wake up dead and I'll just have mentored 5 million dentists. You're always changing the things that you're doing. And honestly, you're hard to keep up with all the things that you're doing. So now you're physically going into practices and coaching. I know you're coaching practices. Are you also coaching individual dentists? And what does your coaching realm look like?
Yeah, thanks. It's first of all, It's the coolest damn thing we do. It's like when you have someone in an audience and you can like really see the light bulb go off. Now the next step is like going into someone's practice and saying like, now we're going to walk you through a step at a time how to do it. So when we work with a practice, we work with some startups, we work with some acquisitions, so younger docs, but we also, it's funny, we work on both ends of the spectrum. So that's one crew. The other crew are people who are 3, 4, 5 years away from retiring, or people who feel stuck. Like, man, I'm doing all the right things. Why is nothing getting better for me? And we walk in and we work on like how to build people a character, how to build like real process. So I think every dentist out there, like we have all this cool stuff in our brain, but that's where it lives. So we show people how to get it out of their brain and to turn it into process. So literally, like you could not go to your practice on Wednesday and nothing changes. Everything still moves and grooves. So for some people, that means adding an associate. For some people, that means taking more time off. For most people, it's all about how do I buy back more time in my life and make more money, to be quite honest with you. So we work on people, process, we work on production. I don't really look at product. I'm a different bird. You know me. I don't look at production as the math. I look at it as how do we develop more complete care? How do we get people to stop putting out fires and doing tooth at a time stuff and show them how to really look at a patient at large? And then we've got all sorts of systems when we do that. So our job is really to, teach every practice owner and their teams how to fish because I despise the people who work with a coach for like 8, 10, 15 years. Like you guys should never do that ever. Not unless you're scaling locations or you're totally changing your idea. You should learn how to do it yourself without me and know that, somebody like me, there's other really good people in our industry who can, have your back over time. But man, if you're cutting a check for 60, 70 grand plus a year for 8 years, 10 years, you're doing it wrong. So stop it.
Well, so that brings me to another question because people, I think also, maybe you become the safety net and they feel like, you're just part of the team and therefore this is
Yeah.
part of what we do. What should be an average lifespan of a coaching relationship?
I feel like and I don't mean average as in like you're an average person, but for the average practitioner who says, "Hey, I want to have one location. I want a high performing team. We're doing the dentistry we love to do with people we love to do it on, and we're really profitable." 2 years. And then maybe you move to sort of a program where you have X hours per year that when you need help, that person's going to be there for you to help. But 2 years. If you want to scale and you want to go from one to location to five or five to 10 or 10 to 20, 30, 40, 50, then yep, you're probably going to need your coach a little longer because your model's going to shift. So you're going to need somebody to say, you're successful here. We now know where you are to where you want to be at the next level.
Interesting. And so I think also a lot of us, probably even me to some extent, we sort of, wake up every morning, we go do our thing, we try to schedule strategically and we have our goals and we do the things. And, as long as we exhibit growth each year, we feel like, you're doing what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
But I think that maybe some of us don't even realize how we could benefit from
Hmm.
coaching. So how do you identify who could benefit best from coaching and like what things should we be looking for inherently to determine if coaching would benefit us?
I think if you're introspective and every I think we all have a place we can go to where we like think more clearly. So go to that place and give yourself a little grace of an hour or 2 hours and just ask yourself, am I living the life that I always dreamed of? If the answer is anything but hell yes, then you can benefit from working with a coach, and that might be a different coach for each of you who are listening, based on where it is you want to go from where you are right now. But you can absolutely benefit from it. I was really lucky. or again, maybe I was just dumb, but I hired a coach literally like my third year of practice ownership. I didn't have any money. Like I just took out a loan and we tripled our practice in less than 18 months. And then over the next couple of years, we doubled that. And I didn't know what I didn't know. I just knew like there's something else out there and I don't know how to do it. So,
What do you say to those people who like the idea of coaching, but also feel that maybe their team is going to hold them back? Because I know back in the day, I had hired a couple of consultants and different things, but it was like they would talk to me and I'm like, yes, yep, that's a problem. That's a problem. Yep, we got to fix this. And then they meet with the team and it's like crickets. And, you know, some of us, I mean, now I feel differently, but early on when I bought my practice, I was afraid to fire people. And I was like, I wasn't sure where I'd find somebody else, or is this the best I'm going to get? I don't know. So how do you respond to those that say, I think I would benefit from this, but I just don't have the team to support me?
yeah, the first thing I would say is you're like every other person I've ever met, right? You're not alone. You're not in a unique experience. Most people's teams don't like change. Like they're so comfortable where they are, and so long as you and I, as the leader, allow that, that's what our teams are going to do. It doesn't make them bad people. It makes them human. So I would say the first step is to know that, like, yep, you and everybody else are in this space. The second part of it is, um, I would ask myself this question. This is a gut check one, is like, how long are you willing to live a life that you don't love for the people around you, whether that's at work or home? And if your answer is, I can do this for the next 20, 30 years, then don't hire somebody because you've got to want better and you've got to want to lead people. That's awesome. Yeah, is everyone smiling but you? Like if you've ever felt that way, like why are you going to keep doing what you're doing? Like why? Most people it's fear, right? I was afraid too. I was just probably too dumb to let my fear get in the way. But I was afraid for sure.
Yeah, and I think that, that fear and that allowing everybody else to be comfortable and you getting, you adapting your discomfort to their comfort, that breeds resentment. And that, that can be really damaging because you know what? I think it's interesting when I finally changed over my whole team, my patients were like, thank God, like I can't believe, like I could tell that, this wasn't great, or I could tell you weren't happy, or oh, I see so much, you're so much happier now. And while you think you're really great at hiding it, we're not great at hiding it. And so I think that you know the more genuinely happy and more genuinely satisfied you can become with your career, the better off your in like your career, your productivity, and all of those things can be. So what can somebody expect? I mean, you mentioned your practice, how you tripled and then doubled that. But say, somebody who thinks that, things are okay, but they could be better. Are there metrics that we should look at to be like, okay, these are definitely areas for where we could improve? Like, do you identify those first, or do we kind of look at what we have and be like, I want to be double?
Yeah, so I would say from an expectation space, you should expect for every dollar you spend on anybody that you're minimally going to get $5 back. So if we look at our overhead and our practice, if we get $3 or less back, we're probably losing money making the choice we make. So I always tell people minimum, you hand me a dollar, I give you five. If that doesn't happen, that's a bad relationship. So that's number one. How we do it, and everybody does this differently. So these are questions I would ask people if you're interviewing people, thinking like, "Hey, maybe I want to coach, but I'm not sure who the right person is." Do what you would do with anything else in life and interview people and make sure they're a best fit for you. And how we do it is we look at a core of 8 KPIs, and we also look at where you are and where you want to go, and then how fast you want to get there. So the first thing we do based on those core KPIs and what we see in your practice is we look for the low-hanging fruit, meaning if our team can generate enough money in the first 90 days that we work together that actually paid for your entire year, what I know is you're going to be pretty happy. What I also know is you're going to look in the mirror and not just believe like this could work. You're going to know it can work because it's actually working. And that makes our job easier because now we can go in and actually work on systems and the people and the process stuff to drive it. So I would say have an expectation level coming in. Look for people who really want to know what you'd like to accomplish, and they can customize their systems in order to deliver what you want. Cookie cutter doesn't work anymore. Used to, but it doesn't work anymore. So look for people who will invest the time in you and figure out what you want. And I'll be totally straight with you. For every practice we've said yes and work with, we've said no to 2 practices. Not because we're elitists or arrogant, but because I didn't feel like we could deliver on that promise. And I need to put my head on the pillow and sleep really well at night. So find people who are just going to be really honest with you, even when sometimes honesty hurts.
I think anytime there's a coaching relationship, you're going to get a little slap around once in a while because,
Yeah.
what do they say? The fish rots from the head or something. So, generally speaking, it starts with the leadership and, what's going on and what we tolerate in our practices. So so you're busy. You're like doing all the things like you guys, I like usually my first question to David is, where are you? Like, where are you now? That kind of thing, because you're really all over the place doing lots of things. If somebody engages you to coach, how much of you do they get?
Awesome question. So you get a lot of me, you get a lot of Dawn, who runs a lot of the operations side and the building of the systems, and you get a lot of Candy, who is like hygienist extraordinaire. So she helps everyone we work with in the hygiene quote department of things. And we've got a stable of other team members who help as well. But you get me at least once a month. We triple the time investment we spend with people because what I know is if this was easy for you, if it was what was easy for me back when I was you, I'd have just done it myself. So, we need to spend a lot of time and kind of walk people a step at a time. So you get more of me probably than you're gonna want. You're probably gonna have weeks where you're like, man, I wish I didn't have to be accountable to that guy.
Yeah, I'd be like, oh my gosh, I'm meeting with David. Let me get my homework done right quick.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. So, how do you get started? How do they find you? All the things.
Yeah. So we'll put it in the show notes, but my email is my name. It's david.rice@ignitedds.com. Find us on Instagram at ignitedds, or by me, David Rice, Facebook, LinkedIn. Reach out whatever way helps you most. And what I would say to you is just ask all the questions. I'm like a radically transparent human being, and just ask. And well, I will always pick up the phone and talk to you for, a half an hour. Even if it's something you're just like, hey, I have no idea if this is going to be for me or not. Like, okay, well, let's figure it out. And if it isn't, I'm happy to tell you, like, this is probably not the best time for you to do this.
That is so important. And I think
Yeah.
that it's worth, if you're not living your dream in your practice, and trust me, I wasn't always. So I feel like it's not a cute time when schlep to work, not looking forward to who you're spending your day with, your team holding you back from the quality that you want to deliver, your team not delivering the quality that you want to see delivered, and not having that partnership with the team is it's a gut punch, and it's really hard to do that day in and day out, and it's frustrating, and it makes you not love dentistry. And I feel like I see it all the time on social media, younger dentists not loving dentistry because
Yeah.
they have loans and they have legitimate stressors in their life. And now they're trying to figure out how to like dentistry, let alone love dentistry. Um, but you can, and sometimes you just need the right person in your corner. So I really just kind of wanted to sit down with you today and kind of catch up with you, and also, let everybody else kind of, follow around and see what you're doing, because, there's definitely a lot of moving parts here, but it's really cool to see, all the things that you're doing.
Thank you. We got to flip the script. We're going to invert this next time. This was awesome.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we'll have to. We'll wait till after I'm divorced. I can share like dating stories and stuff someday.
We can, I
Um,
love that. We'll do it.
we will. All right, everybody. Well, thanks so much for joining us for Dentistry Unmasked. Call David. He's waiting for you. And I will see you all next week. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone, for watching or listening to the show this week. And thanks to our guests and sponsors on this episode.
Please check out our social media at Dr. Pamela_Maragliano and at Dental Economics Official.
Or you can check me out at igniteDDS or at Dr. David Rice.
And go to dentaleconomics.com to receive dental economics. You can choose to receive DE in print or digitally, and you can also get the details of our Principles of Practice Management conference on our website.
If you have topics or guests or anything you'd like to talk about on the show, send us an email to dentistryunmaskpodcast@gmail.com, and we will do our very best to make it happen. Thanks again, and we'll see you next week.